Hello, and welcome back to the Patrick's Green Tea podcast. This episode is it's really interesting. It happened 5 months after the previous episode. And actually, in my mind, before I actually started editing the podcast, um, like the whole show in general, I thought this was the first episode because when I recorded it, it seemed like the first big step for me, um, where I actually like fully decided to start a show. Um, and this was a lot more cohesive than the first episode, so already we've improved a bunch. Um, I sort of lay out the structure that I want and sort of ideas that can pop up later on, that I want to strive for. Um, and so, for context, for this episode, I had a 5 milligram edible and watched a Grateful Dead concert at a movie theater. This is like an annual thing that they do for the Grateful Dead fans. They show a movie. They show a concert at a theaters nationwide. It's actually really cool. And you go to one and you have all these other Deadheads around, and it's a fun experience. Um, it was really, really awesome to experience and to watch the concert. It gave me a bunch of ideas for the podcast, and it made me really want to start it. As I said, I couldn't wait to record the episode. After the concert, I went to my car and started it. So I speak a lot about my mind as if it's schizophrenic. I mean, maybe not in this episode, but I definitely like make reference to it, about having multiple personalities and like one main authoritative personality. I haven't really experienced this since the early days of the podcast, um, and the early days of like being high, but I definitely felt that where, and I explain this later, that there's the corkscrew sort of effect of my thoughts. And actually, when I mentioned the night where I had the 10 milligram edible, um, I could actually feel this corkscrew jumping back to the original thought. And like it was so physical that I actually felt jarred by it. It was really scary to experience. I've heard psychedelic users refer to something like this as a thought loop. I think this is what it is, but um, yeah, definitely felt like a loop when I was going through it. So it's probably a similar experience. Also, as much as I talk about City Field Night 2, and as impactful as it was at the time, I don't remember as much as I did about it, as I did in 2018. I definitely probably should have recorded my thoughts back then, but the summary I gave in this episode was pretty good. I'll try to release the note I took during the concert as a supplemental piece of the episode, probably on the website. And I'm figuring out the website right now and trying to figure out how to upload pages, but it seems pretty easy. I also mentioned, just a fact check note. I mentioned that the 11 hasn't been played for 40 years prior to 2018, but I didn't realize at the time that Further and Rat Dog, which are previous renditions of the Grateful Dead, post Jerry Garcia, they actually performed the song around the early 2000s. Um, so I was wrong on that. And it was sort of risky to record so many podcasts without feedback since my flexibility to change things is limited. But I will take into consideration anything you guys tell me would make the podcast better. So don't be discouraged to leave feedback. And also, I was going to say, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I was thinking maybe because I'm sort of releasing them by date and not by number, sort of that gives me more flexibility than I would have with numbers. And I could probably release something of a different structure every once in a while, just sort of like uh, add some variation to the show. And I think there's a lot of possibilities there where I think I mentioned in this episode, I can give my thoughts on something that I'm experiencing while high and just like record myself in sort of like a live setting, um, or like live at the time. And then I don't know, whatever else you guys suggest. So that it's not impossible to have your feedback sort of be implemented in a more uh, in an episode that comes out more sooner rather than later. Um, and that's all the notes I have. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I know it's really long. This is like 2 hours long, I think. Um, Probably I'm not going to have the podcast be this long. Usually, I'm going to try to cut it down. I think most of them are shorter. This is like a little too long for my taste. But or if you like it long, just let me know. But most likely it's not going to be. Mostly, and like also there's the editing aspect of it. I don't want to be parsing through 2 hours of podcasts every week when I eventually make this weekly thing, which is probably the goal. Probably. Who knows? So yeah, enjoy the podcast.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was a bad impression of the Joker. I just came back from, oh my god, this is gonna be interesting. I came back from, oh Jesus Christ, the Grateful Dead meetup at Danbury something, AMC Theaters, 7789. Was the show, and it's celebrating Jerry Garcia's 76th birthday, August 1st, 2018. Alright, so the show inspired me to make a recurring podcast of sorts with my high thoughts. I mean, I already came up with like green tea, and I thought I recorded a few episodes of this already, but I had a few breakthroughs while I was, watching the show, and the breakthroughs led me to want to create the podcast, and I thought of a bunch of ideas. So I guess I'll lay out the ideas for the podcast. First of all, obviously it's going to be called Green Tea. I think to start off, I might record a bunch of episodes and then release them slowly to gain a following instead of releasing them all at once, or recording them and releasing them immediately on a regular basis, because currently I don't have a steady source of weed, so it'll be difficult to make like a recurring thing until I do have some sort of steady source of weed. So I think I'm just going to record a bunch and then release them over a slow period of time, probably with like an intro or something before them explaining the context. I'm probably going to record, I don't know, this might be it, or this might be a reference for later in like a lost episode or something. But I'm probably going to record a sober version of this, what I'm saying right now, and like sort through the thoughts and then get back to them later. I'm sober and can write things legibly and say things. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do this. Say things legibly because it's going to be professional, obviously, and give people a good intro to the thing. The podcast. Jesus Christ. Yeah, every time I do like pauses like that, I don't know if you could tell, or if I have to explain it, because it's like there's a lot going on in my head, and like there's like my words aren't keeping up with what I'm thinking. So I already lost what I was trying to say. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, my long pauses are like when I forget something. And the circle of thoughts, that's like the circle of personalities or whatever's going on, the circle of thoughts is having like a gap where it's going from the tail to the head, or the head to the tail, or however you want to visualize it. I don't know, I'll explain the whatever thoughts here. So like at first time I saw this phenomenon was like during the I don't know what to call it, the first 10 milligram episode, and not podcast episode, like episode in the other sense of the term, like an event. It was like I first observed this and like thought of a good visual, which I was like not pestering. I was like beating over the head, not literally. I'll segue away from that so it doesn't sound as weird. I was like repeatedly saying that I had a visual in my head to my girlfriend at the time that was like, I was just kept repeating, saying, I'm gonna fucking write this. I didn't say it like that. I was like, I'm gonna write this down, I swear. Just pleading, I don't know. It was weird. It was such like an intense revelation that I was like pretty excited about it. yeah, so the visual was like a rotating cylinder, I guess. It's not like a full cylinder like a toilet paper roll or a like tower or something like that. It's like the shape of a cylinder, I guess, like the base shape and the invisible shape, and then whatever. I'll just describe it and maybe create it one day. The shape is so the thoughts are like this snake. It's like a flat snake of sorts. I don't know. It's like a bunch of rectangles or whatever arranged in a downward flowing cylinder. So it's hard to do just voice. I can't like use my hands because it's a podcast. I don't know if I should record these face on or whatever. But my thoughts are going. I'm definitely gonna do the intro sober. This is gonna be a bad intro. Better as a secret episode or something like that. Maybe I don't know. Scrap. I don't know. How to proceed. It's hard to be like responsible and high at the same time. See, like the thought I just had, the thoughts that I wanted to say were a lot more complex than what I just said. Because I don't even know what I just said. Every word that I speak, it's like I forget the word that I said right before, or the phrase I said right before, and on to the next thought. Jesus Christ, I'm gone now. I don't even know what I was saying at all. Yeah, I can't be productive and high at the same time. Meaning, I can't be productive while in this state. Like, I can't, I don't know. Like, there's nothing more to say. I don't know what's more complex about that. Yeah, so, like, as you can see right now, my thoughts are in, like, it's not concentric circle, because I know that's something else. It's like a cylinder. And so, the cylinder is arranged however it's arranged. I'll make, like, I don't know. I keep saying I'm going to do, like, a 3D model of it or something, which is what I was, like, telling my girlfriend. She's like, I'm going to make a 3D model. Oh, my God. It's going to be so good. Like, I think I said that exact thing. And it was, like, I don't know. My thoughts are arranged like however I'm going to make it. And sorry, I'm looking at someone in the parking lot just running. It's weird. They're in the car now. Whatever. And it's like they'll spin around in that formation. So the top goes first, and then it's like a following thought, and a following thought, and then a following thought, all the way around, and then it's like, tangent, mental tangent, and then like it'll suddenly click back to the first thought that initiated that spiral, and then go down the spiral, and then come back up suddenly. It's not the best like explanation of the way my brain works, like when I'm high, because there's a bunch of different things I've come up with that I should probably record at some point. I don't know, it'll just happen. Okay, I'll just go with whatever the loudest thought in my head is, because there's like so many things I could say. There's so many things I want to say that just like I can't decide. I'll just keep with the story I was saying. Circles. No. So, okay, one description of what I'm thinking is that concentric circle thing. Not concentric circle, like the cylinder thing, where the thoughts go down and they click up. Because when it's a cylinder, it's like as a cylinder, the whole cylinder rotates and it reaches that bottom. Or like a screw, I guess. The screw is the best way to describe it. Not like the outside of a screw. Those like the spinny part, the flat spinny part of a screw, and then the center is like imagine the center of a screw is gone, except the outside ridge thing was still there. It's kind of like your thoughts, except more compressed, I guess, because sorry, this car is like freaking me out. Not actually freaking me out. It's just interesting. Yeah, and something like that would like shake the entire like flat part of a screw, I guess. Will shake that entire okay, I'll just explain what I mean. So when you spin a screw, just like upright, when you spin it, it's like you start with the top. So you're spinning it and the top comes into your vision, you keep spinning and the top's like going down, right? That whole like outside of the screw is going down. and then it finally reaches its tail, and the tail just ends, but it suddenly jumps back up to the top, and then it keeps going down and down and down. But it's the same length of screw, I guess, same length of wire, same length of stairs, whatever, however you want to visualize it, and then it clicks right back up to the top. But it's the same always, like it's the tangent. I guess like another way to describe it, because it's like it's not always like that exactly, or maybe it is. Because my brain is definitely going in that direction. It does that. My words like will catch the screw at a random moment and decide in like the length of whatever I'm describing will differ, and then my next sentence, my next word will pick up on a random part of the screw based on the previous length. I don't know. But I described before how I usually just pick some sort of loud voice or loud. I probably described my voice thing before. How it feels like there's different voices in my head. Different personalities. I'd have to look back because I want to make sure it's documented. That's really important. I'll just say no. I keep thinking I might as well just not leave this for later. Just say it now, get it out of the way, so there's better things to say. But then I remember that first of all, I don't know. Too many conflicting thoughts. Anyway, I always think that like there's like a loudest voice or the leader of the snake thing or whatever that I have to guide myself with. That's a method I use. It's not necessarily how it always is. It's not a description, but rather a method to cope with and be productive with and be, something with. Is having that loud voice that just like or like I said, the episode 1, or I think it was 1, where I said, stick to the story. And stick to the story, stick to the story, stick to the story. And as my thoughts went down that loop, it was like kept saying that, and I had to go back to the head of the snake or something. I don't know. Alright, I have more important thoughts to get on to. This is going on for 11 minutes. Not as bad as I thought. I thought it was like 18 minutes or something like that. But we're on a good thing. Can you hear me well from over here? I'm gonna look at the sound wave. Alright, I don't freaking know. It's like the same sound. It's like slightly sharper from up here. I don't know. I think it's good enough. I'm in like a sound booth of a car, so like you should hear me fine. Unless you don't, I don't even know. Should be fine. I have to pee. Ugh. So where should I go? What? There's like so many breakthroughs that I had. I'll go with the format of the podcast that I want to do. I imagine like a podcast where the thesis of it, or whatever, the main thing, the thing about the podcast, the hook, is that I try to approach being high from like a scientific perspective, or like a documentarian's perspective, where I experience something and I want to record it. And it's also like a thing of discovery where I thought it was interesting the first few times I got high, like feeling how it happened, and sort of getting into it and like observing things as they happened. And I think that it's really valuable to document what I observe. And it would be really cool as a podcast to document them as I observe them instead of later, because there's so much that's lost after the fact. Because the experience I just had now watching the movie, like there was so many things I thought as it happened that will probably never get documented, which is kind of sad, but like it's fine. It's just the way things are. Alright, so I made a complete thought, and it's probably going to be derailed by this little interjection. I don't know. Yeah, it was derailed. Yeah, I was describing the format, and how well that was segueing, which it didn't. Okay, the format, what else is there that I want to say? See, sometimes I have to like jump in the part, freaking jump into the screw when it's at the part that I want to get to. I want to think of a better name for that. The screw is like the most accurate thing I can think of. I might have thought of it before. No, I don't think I did. I want to document things as they happen. And like the act of documenting too, it makes me talk. And when I talk, like it's like a phenomenon on its own that's like worth recording. The way I think as I'm high, and the way it's like the way I tell stories and all that. Like it's a thing to record on its own. Anyway, my mouth is really dry. But I sometimes, like, when I started this episode, it's like I kind of cringed at the way I sounded. I kind of sound like I cringe every once in a while when I think of, like, when I say, like, I'm high or weed or something like that. Like, it's so out of character. And just the way I'm talking is out of character, and it's really weird to hear coming out of my mouth. So, like, part of me is just, like, not anxious, but weirded out by, like, recording myself on a podcast and, like, sharing it. Like, I sound like my sister when she's, like, explaining something, or I don't know, she gets into, like, this mode that's like, because I've known her whole life, so the most I've known of her was when she was little or whatever, but so she would act a certain way, and then when she became an adult, adult, which was so recently, it's like the way she acts now is very, like I said, recent. Has only been a very small percentage of her life, and is very different from the way she was as a child. So, like, it's weird to see, and it's probably the only thing most people in her life are gonna see. It's like a metaphor that applies to, like, a lot of people, I guess. But I'll just describe it as my sister, and maybe write a blog about it or something. I don't know how I'm gonna go about the mechanics of this podcast. But yeah, it's like she like the way she she just, like, gets into this certain, like, mode where she sounds like, you know, an adult. She doesn't get, like, pissy. She gets, like, I don't know, but I sound like her, like, every once in a while, like, when I'm talking. Obviously we're like genetically the same, but, like, I do sound a lot, like, every once in a while I sound like her, and I don't want to sound like her. Like, I mean, not that I don't want to sound like her, but, like, the sounds that I'm making, I don't want to sound like, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to offend my sister. Maybe I should bleep out her name. I don't want to offend my sister. Yeah, my throat is not feeling good. It feels dry or something. I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. So yeah, it's like these pauses are either forgetting or, like, thinking of, like, a jumping off point because what I said was adequate right before. It's like a new chapter to a book or, like, a section of a podcast or something. Yeah, and that thought leads me to, you know, it would be cool to animate. If like, the other part of the massive benefit of having a podcast is having different people's creative interpretations of it, because I'd be interested in having, like, a small following, or I don't know, however big it gets. I at least want a following, you know. That'd be cool. I think that's my aspiration for this. My goal for this is to have, like, a following of some sort, or people of, like, not like, it's not like, oh, I want this. It's just like, it would be really cool if, say, like, a cartoonist was in my audience, and they're able to really accurately, the image I had in my head was accurately, like, draw or interpret my thoughts the way they work. It'd be cool, like, during the podcast, if they, like, they drew that screw or something and had it rotating, and as I was going into each personality or something, it would be that a color, or it would light up that part of the screw that was, like, active. Or I don't know, there's different ways of visualizing it. Maybe there's a set number. Say there's a set number of voices in my head or personalities I have. Like, say there's 6, right? Actually, no, for simplicity's sake, say there's 4, which there's not, but there's probably, like, 7, and then a leader. But for simplicity's sake, for the sake of this explanation, I'm going to say 4. No, 3. 3. It's better. It's switching between these 3 guys, right? and then while I'm talking, say like it's the leftmost guy talking, and like as I'm talking from that guy, that personality, that thought's perspective, it turns blue or whatever color it is, and then as my thoughts are going to the middle guy, that middle guy like illuminates, or maybe there's a conversation between the two, and that maybe that's animated or visualized, and then there's the guy on the right. It could, I'm like back at the guy to the left. I don't know. Or like whatever, the top of the screw, and I'm at the middle of the screw, I guess. And I'm at the end, or the guy on the right, and then it flips back to the beginning. It's like basically an animation of like. See, the thing about this is like it's so frustrating to listen to. That would be cool. But what would be cool about a following is that people would be like want to listen to this and like get things out of it, because there's like a lot. I know it's a lot to dig through and probably a lot to listen to, because I get like in these weird tangents. But the thing about having a following is that it would be really and it's probably annoying to hear that sentence over and over, like the starting of a thought. Jeez. See, occasionally I'll remember what I was saying, like what would be cool about the start of the following, and then I don't want to like say it again because it's annoying. I just did, but I had to explain something. I don't know. It's like takes a long time to express a thought, but they're like interesting, and I think in a different way when I'm high. So like, okay, I'm sorry for you have to sift through like, okay, the following. What would be cool about a following is that it means that people are interested in listening to it, and I'm not crazy. Not crazy. That like I'm not just talking to myself and it's not going anywhere. It'd be cool to know that people are getting something out of it, I guess, and people are interested. Having a following means that people are interested and like want to listen to more, and I think that's a cool feeling to have people like want to listen to your stuff, and like you're not alone in the void. You're not just talking to yourself, or like if you're a musician, then you're not just playing for yourself. It's cool to have a following to like not show off, but just show what you have, and it's cool to like connect with people in that way. There's like 3 major things from the show I want to talk about. Let me try time check. It's probably like 10:30. I can't tell. 10:38. Nice. All right. So, just Grateful Dead talk. See, I don't even know what audience I'm going to do. If this is just a Deadhead thing, if it's like a general scientific thing, if it's a more general, just general audience thing, I don't know. Okay, Jesus Christ. The point of the podcast is to like, it's like an early thought, but I went on a huge tangent. I don't know if this was a resolved thought or what, but I'm going to try to finish it. See if make sure it's resolved, because I remember it was important. The point of this podcast is to document this scientifically. I guess the tangent spoke for itself, because the problem I have with like backtracking and checking if something's resolved is that sometimes it is resolved, and I'm just filling up time on the podcast, which can be used for other stuff, which is more important. That probably wasn't even a thought I had originally. It just kind of got improvised as I went along, which is cool. See, the thing is, I always think of something like improvise led me to think about a thought that I wanted to share. But the word, like, it was part of another sentence which I was trying to finish, and a thought which I was trying to finish. And it's kind of difficult steering the ship, because my thoughts, it's like the thoughts can be interesting. The thoughts are interesting either way, but it's hard to decide which is most worth going after, and which pursuit, like if it's even what's worth the most, I guess. If it's worth backtracking, if it's worth not backtracking, continuing with the thought you have. Maybe I should it'd be cool to order the podcast too. See, the thing about the following, oh my god, I'm back at this. The thing about the following is that people are there's a lot of different people that could offer their creative input and do the work. Say you have 1,000 followers that are active and do cool stuff like fan art. Then you're doing basically the work of 1,000 men without doing anything, like the creator for the podcast. It's like, say, I want someone to, I don't know, send me some fan art. It's like someone who is qualified to and wants to, like is genuinely enthused about it, and like has very creative talents and is able to do it and has probably studied art for a long time, will draw you that piece of fan art without you doing anything. I mean, it's not like, oh, I get to do all this stuff without doing anything. It's like I'm like a king. It's just cool because you don't. It's something that you know you wouldn't have time for, right? Something that you're not meant to do. Could be done by someone who is more enthused about it, and then does it, I guess. They're more enthused about it, and they want to and they do it for you, basically. I don't know. I guess you get the point. I don't want to oh my god, over-explain. That word has haunted me. Not haunted. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. That made someone laugh. And I know who it was. Jeez. Maybe there's a few people. I don't know. Maybe I keep on the over-explaining thing. I don't know. Maybe I share the over-explaining story. Maybe people come to it on their own. Probably not. Editing is the thing. I want to do I said I wanted to. One of the breakthroughs I had in the theater was that I want to do this podcast. Part of me wants to do every part of it high, where it's authentic and it's the cool hook adds to the hook, where it's oh, I do every part of this podcast, or it's authentic, where I do every part of this podcast high, recording it, editing it, writing for it, all that stuff, making the name of it. But I don't think it's possible because it's hard to be productive when you're high. It's hard, and it's probably more beneficial in total, all things considered, if I'm sober while I'm doing the productive things like editing, probably managing the money. I wouldn't want to be high for that, if there is that stuff like that needs a sober mind, just to be more efficient, I guess, because that would make the quality of the podcast better and make it more worthwhile, I guess, because time is precious. People don't really have it. I think I'll release the raw episodes, and I don't know, for people who want to listen to it, and maybe a clean version of the podcast, which is another thought I had, where people can, fans of mine can give me ideas on how to structure it. If I should make blog posts based on one interesting thought that I can analyze forever. And that my hive mind won't just have a million tangents off of. If I should just release the unedited episodes and have Mark, myself, and time code all the bits that are relevant. So metaphysics will be under one tag. I don't know what the tags are either. I'll just name random ones just to experiment. Metaphysics could be one. The mechanics of being high, I guess, both observations and in the moment and of previous experiences. I don't know. I feel that's too much. It's too many. I want to use a coding term, parent-child relationships. Freaking mechanics, and then present and non-present mechanics. That's just too much. I don't know. Mechanics of getting high. I'll label something. I don't know. Things that happen around me. Names. I don't know. Funny things. Grateful Dead things. Music things. I don't know how I'm going to tag all these, but that's the other thing. Fans can recommend what. I'll just use this for an example. Fans can recommend tags. They can tag things for me. I can even hire someone, someone who's close to the podcast through whatever means. Can just do it out of enthusiasm or whatever it is. If they're a friend, or they end up collaborating on the podcast, and it's like a joint effort. That's a double entendre. Joint effort. See, I'm glad I record these because it's total. I don't know if I'm going to go back to them. I don't know. The thought, the what was it called? Motivation to make this podcast was really strong, and sometimes I forget why. I forget things like why I want to make the podcast, why I'm so into the Grateful Dead, why I'm so into a person, stuff like that. Why I'm so dedicated to film. Sometimes you forget that kind of stuff. See, this would be a life advice tag or something like that. Sometimes you forget why you're driven. And then a moment or an experience like this concert or something like that. Or even just something someone says, a little thing. Or a DM conversation will remind you. And you'll be like, oh my God, I remember why I'm so driven to write or to do this podcast. Or to love someone, Sometimes you forget why you love. I don't know. I won't sugarcoat the podcast to make myself feel like not a scumbag. I don't know. Just my thoughts. I'll be honest with everyone. Sometimes, you forget why you love someone. Or you get into an argument with someone and it's just love isn't really on your mind. You're so focused on the argument. Or, I don't know, whatever it is. You'll forget why you love someone. And then sometimes it's a momentary thing where it's you're arguing with someone like that as an example. You're arguing with someone and they end up, or you end up getting mad at them. Maybe in your state of not remembering why you love them, you say something horrible, something you wouldn't say normally. It's pretty dangerous to forget. Yeah, I guess it is. It is pretty dangerous to forget why you're driven by something. Because then in the moment, your brain, having forgotten what you're motivated by, could do something, anything. People who grew up with violent parents or whatever, they could hit someone, Someone who forgets why they don't drink. Someone who's a recovering alcoholic who spent years and years hating the experience of drinking or whatever, and then after years and years of not being held by a vice, you forget why you didn't want the vice, and your brain starts remembering all the good things about the vice, and the good sensations come back to you, and you're like, oh, I want to do this vice again. And then as soon as you do, you're like, God damn, how did I forget this? The other day I was drinking soda, and I've given up on soda. It's not. I don't know if it was a vice. It kind of was. I drank it a lot. I kind of expected it to be part of a. Not expected. I guess expected it to be part of a restaurant experience, where I figured Coke, the flavor of syrupy Coke from a restaurant, that little hose, not a normal Coke on the bottle or a can, syrup, that freshly mixed, whatever, that flavor goes with a restaurant. I might be losing the thought here. Bear with me. Maybe I'll call the podcast that. Bear with me. Maybe I'll have an intro that's a bunch of sayings, and then me saying bear with me, because goddamn, you have to listen to all this. See, I did actually lose it. I was trying to say. Forgetting things, yeah. See, sometimes I'll remember the title of the chapter or whatever, forgetting things. Oh, okay, and then I'll remember the subtitle, forgetting why you love someone. But then the content and the whole tangent is just lost. I mean, it's there, but I have to dig. I think it's buried. It's important. I don't know. Okay, so sometimes you forget why you love someone, and then something will, say the Coke thing, like you'll drink the Coke like I did and be like, how did I forget why I don't do this? Like the craving to do it is so extreme. When you actually do it, like the craving is totally gone, and you're back to the hating the substance or the vice. But it's kind of the opposite with like love, because it's like the soda is like you're trying not to do something and you forget, and then you do it. But with love, it's like you forget why you do something positive, why you love someone, and then in the moment you don't. You know, it's like the opposite type thing. So in the moment of not loving someone, or forgetting why you don't go to this vice, you'll do it, or you could hit someone or something like that, and then whatever you did cannot be undone. And when you're in that mindset of being grateful or being sober and sticking to it, whatever damage you did in that mindset of not being sober or not loving is permanent, or could potentially be permanent. So I guess that's why it is dangerous. So that sounded like a concluding thought, like the way my inflection went, it sounded like a concluding thought, and it distracted me and ended what I wanted to think about. And I guess that's a fine concluding thought, but I don't know. I feel like there's more to it. See, every once in a while I think when I'm talking like this, like the deep stuff, I guess, the deep psychoanalysis or whatever, I feel like I can picture myself being a cult leader, and I wonder if that's just what cults are. People have this weird, this is what I was thinking about during the concert. This is one of my thought processes, one of my thought tangents. If cults are, if like the public perception of cults and the way you're like supposed to think about them is like, it's not at all like it is. Like, I mean, I know that for a fact, just in the sense that Scientology is self-help. When I didn't know that before, I didn't know anything about Scientology, just the way people like think about it, just the general attitude of stay away from it, you know. I missed the real, what it actually is, until I saw a few Joe Rogan episodes where he was talking about Scientology, and like I think it was the father of the president of Scientology was talking about how it was a self-help thing, and the first few layers of it are self-help, and it's like, jeez, it'd be cool to riff off of two people, because then you don't have these blank spots. It'd be also cool to analyze, which is another thing. I want special episodes or something based on where I analyze a movie or something, and I'm talking over it, or I'm doing something like cooking. I don't know, maybe not cooking, that seems kind of dangerous, or playing guitar, or just doing anything like walking, because that'll give me something to talk about instead of just like leaving me with my thoughts and like random things that happen that are out of my control, like this random flash that just happened around me, looked like a light bulb went out or something. And stick to a theme, maybe like themed episodes instead of tags, or both, like a Grateful Dead episode, or a I don't know. I guess that's all podcasts where they have a theme. Or not every, but it's a good structure. It's a good structure to work off of. Like the Weekly Planet has like themed things, like Marvel movies, or like top 10 best Marvel movies of the past, whatever, or something like that, ranked something. It's a good idea to have like that sort of structure. But also the Joe Rogan idea of, or even Bill Burr. Bill Burr is a more accurate example of just a person talking, you know. Joe Rogan is like, the theme is a person, but Bill Burr has no theme. It's just him talking. Which, I guess the theme is whatever happened in the past few days, or yeah, I guess, within the span of the past few days. And, which kind of like Theo Von's this past weekend, which is great. I just got into that like a few weeks ago. Trying to find the keys. That's what the jingling is, or the whatever rustling, because it's hot in here. Is it in? Well. Okay. But I guess I could do themed episodes and try to do that, or I could do like unstructured, and then themed, and then other stuff, and do a bunch of different styles. Yeah, and just do the podcast like that, and then whatever people gravitate towards is their thing. Like Reddit, I guess, with subreddits, or a subreddit with flares. Which I think that's another thing about having a following. It'd be cool to have a subreddit based on the podcast, because I don't know, people like commenting on like in subreddits and shared communities and all that. The best thing about those is that everyone, it's like a collaborative effort. I'm talking really loudly. It's like a collaborative effort. Everyone has their own thing to share, their own talent, like I said earlier. And it's just like a beautiful thing to I'm gonna close my eyes because it's like cars moving. It's a collaborative effort, and you have like artists could contribute their talents and the skills they've been working on for years. See, this is less selfish. This is more like everyone can benefit from this. It's not just me benefiting. And I guess I'm the impetus because I'm making the podcast, and like in a selfish way, it'd be cool to be the center of something like that, just out of like a primal desire to be the center of things. But in like a beautiful way, it's something that I would publish, something that I would write, in like a polished, like, it's too much of an explanation of whatever. In a perfect world, what I would say is that it's more of a community thing, and everyone. I mean, it is true. It's true. Everyone benefits from it, from like talent being contributing. So I'm just gonna keep listing examples because I keep wanting to do that. Artists could contribute their art. Computer scientists could lend a hand with the coding of like I guess just the general idea of Reddit. Where a coder could help out someone, hire, like they want to be hired, or they just help someone in a comment saying that they could offer their services for organizing files or whatever it is. People can ask, people can give without being asked. Like a fan art would be cool, and not usually, but it just happens without people asking. But it also happens when people do ask, which is cool. And I think that also like the randomness and the improvisation, the improvisational like spirit of that is really cool. The randomness of like never knowing what cool things you're gonna find, which I guess is also just the Reddit. I don't know, Reddit's really cool. I might talk about Reddit a lot. I'm also probably gonna talk about Joe Rogan a lot, and my family, because I see them every day now. I was talking about my girlfriend every once in a while because she was like a big chunk of my life. And a lot of things happened with her, so like had a big impact on me, more than probably anyone in my life besides my immediate family, which is a lot, which is like big. Girlfriends and significant others are like really, they're more important than, not important, they're more substantial than we may think, because like once you're married for however many decades, that person is the person you spent most time with. The person is the person who knows you the closest, which I guess she is the person who knows me the closest besides myself, maybe even closer than myself. But significant others, like, they don't have enough credit, just the idea of it, being with someone, being that intimate. I don't know. Didn't go in the direction I thought it would, which is cool. The cool thing about recording things when high. I don't know. I'm gonna turn on the car because it's balls hot, and try to manage the sound somehow. All right, the vents are going on. Should I talk about where I am? Is that interesting? Jesus, okay. That was stressful. The recording stopped and I didn't know when it did, so I was like, oh god. I wasn't actually panicking, but it was, I kind of was. I would have been really disappointed if I lost everything, but I didn't. I just lost, like, barely anything. I said the vents are going. I turned on my car, to get air, and, fucking... I got, like, what? Jesus Christ. This is fun. don't even know how to turn this on. Maybe it doesn't turn on. Jesus Christ. Oh God. Oh. Fuck. Okay, well that's not good. I forgot that I'm low on fuel. Yeah, it sucks, dude. I might just walk around. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'll explain my situation. Currently, I'm in a car. I just drove my mom's car to the theater to watch. I already explained that in the beginning, where I am, like exactly. Danbury Theater, Grateful Dead, for Jerry Garcia's 76th birthday. I watched it with, this is personal too, more of just like beyond just a general scientific thing about weed, it's like also just a personal log, which maybe is too annoying for people, I don't know, maybe I'll make it more about the weed. The other thing about freaking people with their podcasts is constructive criticism. I love that. And you can like tell people exactly what they need to fix, or what I guess like subjectively you think is best that they do, which is cool in and of itself, and it actually is constructive. All right, so to those people who are willing to do feedback, and I really hope that this reaches some sort of audience, even like 5 people. If this blows up to like millions of people, that would be like really cool. It'd be weird. I don't know if I kind of hope it doesn't. Like my dream is to have an audience. My goal, my dream is to have an audience the size of Ross Scott's Accursed Farms. That's like a perfect size. Like there's a bunch of fans that like have their memes of him. You know, they have their little art probably. I haven't seen too much art of him, but it's not like a rock band or something like the Grateful Dead. Like that's maybe too big of a following. Ideally. But there's like people who talk to each other. There's recurring. It's small enough that there's recurring like friends, or not friends, maybe like friends of the podcast, like people who just keep coming on that like the small community knows about. I guess Theo Von's podcast has kind of the same feel. Like that'd be a cool size where it is right now, which is August 1st, 2018. I could look at the subscribers, but some nerd could probably. No offense to nerds, I am one. Some nerd could probably figure it out just by saying like that date. So yeah, I hope this reaches, even like I said, 5 people. 5 people would be like great, because then it's like it's big enough that there is feedback, and that's honestly all that I want, just feedback. Well, not all that I want. To be honest, I do want people, like I said, to be engaged and to be interested in it, just out of a general human instinct, because like I don't want to just talk to myself about it. I think what I say is like there's stuff in there that's interesting, that there's benefit in sharing it. So 5 people would be ideal. Like 5 active people. Maybe there's like 30. There's only 5 active people. Like that'd be perfect. Okay, so those people who are constructive and can offer, I guess the whole audience. You are that person. You listening right now. I love when people do that. You listening right now are that person. You could make a difference. Give me a comment. Like, yeah, you. Like, actually you. Please leave a comment about something you were thinking about during the podcast that I can improve on, or something you like that you want more of. Like the other person isn't gonna do it. Like you're gonna do it right now. You have to. You might be in the middle of doing it, but this is like the people who don't vote argument. You're just like, oh, someone else is gonna. No, you have to do it. You right now. Stop what you're doing. I expect everyone to have commented something or started commenting in the next 5 seconds. That was more than 5 seconds. That was adequate, plentiful, great time for you to do that. Okay, so now I have a list of things to improve on that I have not seen yet. And might never, if I don't have an audience. Please, I need at least one. Honestly, yeah. Please, at least one active person, please. I don't even know what accent that was. Wasn't even real. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe there's someone in the world or like a whole culture that speaks like that. Okay, yeah. Maybe people are more experienced in podcast formatting who have like tips. There's classes and stuff on podcasting, but I don't know. The free form of there's subjective things that I've seen a bunch of podcasts and I've seen different forms, so I know what I like. I really enjoy the idea of free form, the idea of improv, even with music, especially with music. But free form might not be the best way to get across the more interesting ideas I have. So, people who are more experienced in podcasting, please tell me how to get those things across. Or, yeah, I guess that, and just everything else to make the podcast better. What format would be best, or what things I could play with. Because I think in general I'm going to have different styles. It won't just be one, like green tea or whatever the name will end up being. I like green tea because I thought of that when I was high, so that's the authenticity, which is a thought that I had before that I can't finish now because there's more interesting things. I don't know, there's gonna be one name for the podcast, whatever it is. Let's just take argument, green tea, and below that I'll have like episodes just that are free form, maybe episodes that are interviews / dual things. Episodes that are experiencing something or doing something, maybe fan requested stuff. Oh, that'd be great. Alright, fans that don't exist yet. This is really weird talking to myself. Ugh. I really hope there's at least one person listening. Okay, the world's a big place. There's going to be at least one person who likes this. The optimistic side of me says. Which is why I do this. Which is why I'm doing it right now. Which is what gave me the drive to do it. My circle of people I know is like really small, and it's a very small sample size to judge like who would like this or who would like anything really. It's which is why you should put yourself out there, because you never know who you could reach, and the fact that you never know is reason enough, I guess. That's not really the thought I was trying to say. You don't know what you don't know. Like, there are definitely people, or that could be, even a possibility, there could be people out there, I'm saying there definitely are, that are interested in whatever you want to put out into the world, whether it be music, whether it be film, whether it be public speaking, whether it be, I don't know, street performing and painting people, whatever it is. Like, I know a makeup artist, that's what she does. Well, that's not the only thing she does, which leads me to my second point. You don't have to be restricted to one thing. You can do a bunch of things. Like, I am super interested in music, but I don't see myself doing only that. I really want to get really proficient at music, because I think there's a lot I could say with music too. The same sort of thing with the podcast. Like, I feel like there's stuff I could add to the world. There's stuff that I could say that aren't being said and can't be said right now because I'm just not good enough at the guitar and the bass and all that. And I have great ideas for things I could put on there, but I just don't have the skills to do it. And that's okay. Like, if you feel the same way about whatever skill you have, if you have a great or you have like just a little bit, even just an inkling of what looks good, if you want to be a cameraman, of what things could look good, you could devote yourself to studying, or maybe not even devote yourself, just as a hobby. Look up people who are cameramen just doing their thing, and just learn from them, and develop your skill, develop your craft, as they say at NYU. Get better at what you want to do, even if you're not good at it. If you want to do it, you can get better, unless it's something that's like literally physically out of your capability, which few things are. As people say, nothing is impossible or whatever, so like there's that too. Yeah, just do what you want to do, and you don't have to be restricted to one thing. You could be like, alright, so yeah, I go on tangents that aren't really cohesive. And like the Bill Burr freeform thing is cool because he's really funny as a person, and I don't know, the way I talk isn't really funny per se. And if I do make a joke like that, what's the phrase, double entendre thing, kind of like ruined it right after I said the joke. I was like, oh, it's a double entendre, or whatever I did. And it was like not too funny, at least in my subjective experience. So funny isn't really my thing. My thing is more like, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe some crazy person or some small community, my fans are gonna think it's funny. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. My thing is more like describing what I think in an articulate way, in a precise way. Which leads me. I'll go on this tangent. My skill, or the most, because I do want to do multiple things. Like I said, I want to be a guitarist, or I want to just learn the guitar and say what I want to say there. But the thing that I want to say the most, the thing that I want to do the most, is to talk. Not to talk. To write / talk, whatever this is. I guess this is a form of writing. To record. Not really. I don't know. What I'm trying to say, my natural talent, the thing that I'm most talented at, that I'm also most enthusiastic about, that's most fulfilling to do, is writing. However you want to interpret that word. Right. Yeah, just as a one-word thing, writing. But as a multiple-word, nuanced thing, articulating the thoughts I have. I'm, like, I don't want to sound arrogant, but yeah. I didn't forget. I'm just trying to think of how to say it. I guess the gift or whatever I have, I think, in my, I don't know. See, sometimes I just go into this rut where I just anything I say makes me sound like an asshole. It's like, in my opinion, my gift is to be articulate, and it's not really being funny, but I don't know. I'm good at articulating what I'm thinking. That's literally all I had to say. I don't know why it took me so long to say that. I'm good at articulating what I think, and I think that's something that would be useful in the world of, I guess, because with weed it's interesting because I'm going through the discovery. Like, I'm pretty new to it, so as I discover the effects it has on me, I'll report them, as they happen, which is a unique thing. Not many people will record in this way, so I think this is beneficial to the literature of humanity. I don't know. There's too many thoughts. I guess everyone has too many thoughts. Everyone kind of just, we stick on one conversation. There's probably an infinite number of possible conversations that people can have. An infinite number of interesting things that people could do or say with each other. That there's just no time humanly possible that they could achieve. And it's not sad. It just is. Yeah. It's not like... It's not something to be upset about, that you won't do that's not really what I want to say. That, I guess that you won't do everything that you want to... Not everything possible. You won't do everything, right? You won't experience everything. You won't get to say everything. Like, I won't be able to say every little detail of what happened tonight. Even people who write in their journals, like historians probably hate this, that, like, not everything is written down. There's stuff that's just lost forever, which is like the extreme of that. But, like, there are things that you'll just forget that you remember later, or I don't know, that could be better said earlier that just aren't because you don't think of them at the time. But that's all part of the improv, man, the improv of life, where it's like I guess it's like musically that's really cool because not every lick is it's also inspiring. Not every lick will be done, so that allows you to have concerts for decades, or interpretations of songs that last hundreds of years. And there's always something new that could be added to it, or like blendings with other things, like the Grateful Dead. We just heard a riff between Scarlet and Fire in the show 7789, which, according to the YouTube comment underneath the Fire in the Mountain video on YouTube, I don't know if I said YouTube, they're alright, I got it. Just gotta retrieve it. My words have to align with what I'm thinking, and ka-chow. And it's gone. As I said, the ka-chow thing was when they lined up. Freak. It'll come back. The Scarlet Fire riff between Scarlet and Fire. According to the YouTube comments that I saw, a YouTube comment that I saw, that's never been done before and never has since. And it's like they love the Grateful Dead because of that. That things will happen that never happened before and never will. That's also the thing that my jazz teacher, the class was called jazz. My jazz teacher, professor, said my first semester, which is like, that was probably the best class. That was definitely the best class I ever had so far. That things will happen in music that like haven't happened and won't ever happen again. And that concept has stuck with me. That's such a cool thing. And I love live music for that reason. I just can't. I mean, I can, because the thing that's good about like recorded things that are like solid, like a studio album that can't really change, is that like the recording happened, but the thing you could alter is like you could alter, like people say, every time you go back to a song or something like that, you'll find something new about it that you love, or a movie, something new that you never saw before, and some things aren't really full of those types of moments that can be extracted. Some things are just kind of surface level, and there's not much you can look into with them. I don't know, the optimistic me is saying, like, with a song, for example, a song can be basic, not much to it, like, or a beat even, and then either you later or another artist with a different background and a different amalgam of experiences in their life, who has a very unique perspective and unique take on the music, could do something totally different and totally new and totally like cool that people enjoy, and then people could add on to that. And the other cool thing about live music is that you have a bunch of people in the same area, or maybe like acoustic sets with one person. It's just it's cool on its own. But like what's cool about a band is that everyone's doing that in the band. Things that will just come to them, and they're really good at them, at interpreting whatever the song is, and playing it, and coming up with whatever divine inspiration comes to them, and they have other people to listen to live who are right there, and they can do an interplay where they share the idea, like this guy, I'm gonna get his name, I need to find it. He was a guy at the, I don't know what it was called, some jazz club we went to in our jazz excursion we had. He said that music is very democratic, that jazz is very democratic, because everyone has their own say, and everyone like listens to each other and interprets based on that. I think that's a really cool idea. But yeah, live music, it's just someone will come up with a cool riff, and then someone will recognize it, or think of something else to do with it, or pick it up, but do it in their own way, or with their own instrument. It's like endless possibilities. Are super, super exciting, and really inspiring and all that. And music, that's a reason why music, like Vsauce asked, will there ever be like a time when all music ever is played? Like, no. I think with new technology, you could have a recording, like I was saying, a studio recording, say, and just play it with different, a different sound system, play with different visuals, do something while you're doing it, get high while you're doing it with different things, or like the remastered versions of studio albums. They I don't even know how that even works. There's probably some weird thing But that's something new. A remastered version of a song is a new interpretation of it, a new form of the same song, which I think is awesome about music. I really do. One of my things I've discovered very recently. One of the many things I discovered really recently about music that just made me fall in love with it so deeply. And yeah, a lot of people can probably relate. But yeah, I don't know how long I should make this. I don't know how long it is right now. I'll just go on. I don't know. I'll talk about metaphysics because that was a big part of the night. I was thinking, I don't know if this is a continuation of a previous thought. I don't know if I never said this before. I'll start from like a semi-beginning place and then jump as fast as I can to the main meat that I discovered today, instead of just going through the whole intro to it, because I don't know how much intro I did before. I guess I didn't. Citi Field Night 2. I don't think I did an episode on. Oh, that's a whole episode on it in and of itself. I remember I told my sister about it, which is another reason why it'd be cool to record with another person. I could write a whole series of essays on the whole experience of the Grateful Dead, and also the whole experience of that week where I went to 4 different shows, kind of by accident. 2 shows more than I thought I would, and a show more than I thought I would a few hours before the show happened, which is cool. But Citi Field Night 2, I had a thought that it was a great, fantastic experience. I should just do an episode about that. And I'll remember for the rest of my life. Maybe different details will come out, but I don't know. That's part of the improv, like I said. Improv of life. I could talk for days about this. So like if you ever are around me or whatever, and you want to submit a question to the podcast, or a request to talk about this, like Citi Field Night 2, I could talk about a long time. And there's a lot of interesting stuff to be said there. It's a really cool story, and I would love to talk about it and get it as much documented, recorded about it as I can. Did I say a lot? I don't even know. I think that's just I have a few professors who did that. I guess it's just a way to end a thought and train your brain to, I don't know, move on. It's like not a trigger, like a signal, I guess, to your brain. Oh boy, I don't know where to go from here. Okay, metaphysics. So I had Citi Field. Yeah, okay. I'll start from there. Citi Field Night 2. I'll start from a midpoint and try to go from there. Basically, the whole 4 shows I was chasing Eyes of the World. I've never listened to Eyes of the World before live, and that was a big I don't know why I said that so extremely. It wasn't that big. I mean, it was pretty big. Desire of mine. Actually, I really wanted to see Scarlet Fire, but Eyes of the World is more important to me because there's one song. The song means so much to me. Because that's the song I covered in my audio class, my sound image class, where I learned about audio, which is a great class on its own too, because that taught me a lot about audio, and that's really interesting. The whole audio world. I don't want to get off topic though. So I went to the Citi Field Night 2. I'll probably document this whole experience somewhere else on the Grateful Dead only podcast, which would be cool. I could go on for 2.5 hours about the whole experience of the Grateful Dead, my story. That'd be cool. Or I could condense it, or I could make a whole thing and then cut out, highlights. I don't know, a blog post. or an essay or something. So I probably reiterate a lot of stuff. So I don't want to say too much of the same stuff. Anyway, City Field Night 2. Eyes of the World I was chasing the whole time. And second half of the concert, I took an edible that I bought from a guy earlier that day. I took the edible, which was, I don't even know how much was in it. It was a lollipop. And it's telling a story sucks because you miss all the details. Like, I could say that there were like little bits of weed floating in it. I could say that I went to the, what's it called? The World's Fair Park, the Flushing Meadows Park, whatever it's called, earlier that day. And then after that, I went to the edible guy I bought from him after I was looking for edibles all day. He's the first person I saw who was selling edibles. I want to tell this story in like a, in order one day. I don't know the word for in order right now. People aren't screaming it. They probably don't know what I'm talking about. In order, sequentially. Not that's not the word I was looking for. Basically, I want to tell the story sequentially one day. Anyway, I was taking this edible, and I took it in this fourth song of the first set, because I was thinking of bringing it home and trying to have an experience like this just on my own and in some controlled setting. But I thought, you know, fuck it, might as well just take it now because like it's a great experience. You know, I'm only gonna have this once. I'm gonna have other opportunities probably with weed, like right now. See, it's proof of that. I'll have other opportunities and stuff like that. Might as well just take it now. So I did. But it didn't kick in until the beginning of the first set, when it totally, like, this is another scientific thing, another mechanics of weed thing. When the weed hit me, the edible, it felt like I was being strapped into a roller coaster, like the full body harness that goes over you. It felt like the buzzing that I experienced was all over the front of my body, like the entire surface area of the front of my body, pushing down. Actually, no, I think it was my full body. I don't know. It's hard to remember. But like very much so on the front of my body, pushing down into the seat. I felt like a huge weight of myself, I guess, and it felt like I was being strapped into the chair that I was at Citi Field, and it was intense. Like, it was the most intense buzzing I ever felt. But I haven't shared this on the podcast before, obviously. I have this thing, I call it my chi. I don't know what it is. I'm able to move around this like thing through my body. Like, I don't know if it's blood, I don't know if it's just muscles contracting, I don't know if it's psychic energy or what, but I'm able to move this thing across my body and control it. And I've used it to, like, in a bunch of ways. I've used it to I've tried to like put it in people, to take people's energy or whatever, just as like experimenting. I've tried putting in like animals, playing around with it. Usually I just play around with it when I'm dancing or something. I imagine it going across the like, just now I pictured it like spinning around the theater in a big circle. I felt like a huge attachment to the person next to me. Like, it felt like wet concrete, I guess, is the best description of like a web between us. Not a web like with holes in it, just like a solid like string of a web, but like the size of our torsos, just like between us. And then like I could feel like all of her with that wet cement. I don't know. That's the best way to describe it. It felt like wet cement being attached to me. And then I imagine like grabbing everyone, not grabbing, kind of grabbing, like feel like being connected to everyone with by that wet cement. There was some story I was trying to tell. Okay, yeah. Citi Field. So yeah, the buzzing was really intense. And I could like that was a high. Unlike tonight there was a very gradual slope of a high. Like I felt like the blood or the high or whatever spread across my head like usual. Usually I feel like a sensation of I don't know, like a shower cap or something like that going across from one side of my brain to the other. I called it my thinking cap today. And I imagined in a podcast using that as like an in-podcast term, like put on my thinking cap, but it just sounds stupid. Or it could be like an inside joke between my audience members. I don't know. So it felt like a cap was being put on, but I didn't feel high after it happened tonight. I didn't feel like I kept like I was kind of frustrated, just like this is like nothing, because it was like 40-50 minutes and after taking the edible, it was like I didn't feel anything. I was also not talking, which was interesting. Because I was watching the movie, the concert, and Jesus Christ, I'm so off topic. There's like 5 open topics right now that I'm aware of. I know what they all are. I'm not going to remember them all. If I try to go for one, it's going to be just that one that I remember. But oh my god. I mean, the story of Citi Field should probably take priority because I was trying to tell the story sequentially in some sequence. Oh, it's get to metaphysics. That was like in the metaphysics chapter right now. I don't know. But I wanted to finish the weed freaking mechanic thing. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I feel a buzzing, and then all right, so I'll just go like that. When the buzzing hit at Citi Field, Sarah, I'll block out the name maybe, or I'll just keep it in. Sarah, blanking. She said to just enjoy it. Like it was weird. I was super like high energy, like ready to just freaking go on a marathon run and talk my freaking mouth off about everything that was happening because I was buzzing intensely. I was moving it around. She said, "Just enjoy it." So I said, "Okay." I didn't say okay. Maybe I did. I thought I was gonna sneeze. I didn't. And then I put it like everything in my body to my prostate. Which the thing is, when you're high, like you can move the buzz. Or I can at least. I can move the buzzing like on command, partially. Also, the thing about the edible was so intense that the buzzing was like partially in my control, partially like totally doing its own thing, which I really enjoyed. It felt like a rippling, like when a stone goes in a puddle, I guess, and there's that rippling. It felt like kind of like concentric circles. There's concentric circles are relevant. It felt like concentric circles like coming out of my sternum. Just like in like zaps, like really fast, like zoom, 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 maybe faster, like in a ripple, and that was cool. Like I was trying to move it around, and then it did that like without me trying to do it. Like it had its own agenda basically, but then I moved all of it to my prostate. It did that immediately, and that was like, because I felt might as well, prostate's there. And it felt really intense. Like it felt good, but I was surrounded by people, strangers, and I didn't want to like moan or anything like that. Yeah, this podcast is like, I don't know. I want to be honest, but I just imagine my family hearing this. I don't know. But I think honesty over whatever is best, because whatever embarrassment I have about honesty is worth less than the benefit documenting has on with, I guess, honesty. Because if like historians did what made them feel best, or whatever, people only documented whatever made them feel best or happiest or sugarcoated things. I mean, people do that, but it's just you don't get the full picture, and a lot is lost. So I'm going to be honest for this podcast, because I think honesty is the most, even in general in life, honesty is the best policy. It's the best way to live is to be the most honest you can be, like Jordan Peterson said, probably. Honesty is like truth and honesty are the highest virtues, and even if they don't benefit in the short term, if someone gets hurt or something, like they do 90, I'm just stupid cliche, 99.8 whatever percent of the time, it's better to be honest in a situation. There are situations I thought of where that's not best, and I've been not good about being honest, where I'll keep something from someone, something from someone, just because, like, I know deep down, and this doesn't happen often, very rarely, but I know deep down that, and like even like intellectually, like not even deep down, both deep down and surface level, it's too much explanation, about the fact that it won't be best if I'm honest right now. Like the long-term and short-term benefits aren't that great. Negatives outweigh it, at least for now. I'm not honest at a certain time, and then when the time is right, I'm honest. There are very few things, very, very, very few things, especially with my significant other, that I've not said. But yeah, as an example, I don't know. Like a good example of a time not to be honest is when you're in a breakup or something, which I mean I've been broken up with. It's probably best not to tell the other person exactly what you're feeling at all times. Especially true every time I was angry and wanted to say something out of anger, and not like I didn't think about it. It was just a pure gut instinct of anger, wanting to say something. I did not. There are a lot of ugly things I could have said during my relationship, or during the breakup, that I did not say, that I'm very, very happy I didn't. I don't even remember anything. The thing is, like I said with the permanent damage, you don't remember the things that you're angry about. Like, I don't remember any of the things I was angry about during the breakup, because I didn't say them. If I did, they would have made a permanent impact on like the friendship, and probably our well-being in some other way. Insecurity probably, because usually when you're angry, you want to bring out someone's insecurities and like bring them down really hard, out of revenge, I guess, because that's like a human instinct. But when there are limits to honesty. I think whenever you're trying to say something out of revenge, and the honesty is just intention, there's no positive benefit from it, I guess, or there's more intent to harm than intent to inform or intent to help, then I think don't be honest. But if there's more intent to inform/help than there is to harm, ideally you don't want any intent to harm someone. You're gonna wait with that thought until you're perfectly calm and there's no anger in your heart. Wait until that's gone, and if you still think that it would be beneficial and it would help someone, to be honest, and you still have that thought in your head, then say it. Like, that's happened, and it was uncomfortable at the time, and there have been times when there was probably some intent to harm and revenge and all that was in me, just out of like the frustration of a breakup, that I've said that do I regret them? No, I don't think I ever regret anything I said, because people say like, oh, even the bad experiences are beneficial and they help and you learn a lot, but it's true, you do. I did. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I focused all the buzzing in the prostate and felt really good, but I didn't want to like moan or anything because that would have been really awkward, and so I didn't. I held it in, but I knew that I like in another situation I could do that more. Like, I could get weed at some other point and do that again, which I'm looking forward to experimenting with when I have a steady access to it. Because right now it's like every few months I'll get a random thing of weed. whatever. I'll get high. So it's not very consistent. So many distractions here. I'll keep it a story, I guess. I was looking for Eyes of the World, the entire concert. I mean, the entire tour, because I never heard it live. Second, it hits really intensely, the weed, the edible. And I go into this, like... See, a lot of the words I'm saying, I don't even, like, think of saying. Like, I go into this, like, I didn't really go into anything, but the phrase just came to my mouth. I imagined... it's not even what I want to say. One day I will get this all down. Accurately, sequentially. And it'll be good. But right now, today is not that day. It hit me at the beginning of the first set, before the song started, before the band came out again. And, like I said, I wanted Eyes. But I wanted Scarlet Fire also. A lot. Spoiler, because I'm going to forget this and it's not very important, but it is important enough to say. I didn't get Scarlet Fire. Right? It'll lead into the rest of the story, but I did not get Scarlet Fire. And what's cool about that is I got something better. The same thing happened Madison Square Garden night 2, November 14th, I believe, 2017. Which is another story in and of itself, but not as interesting. I mean, yeah, it's not interesting. The way I tell it isn't interesting. I'm not good at telling stories anyway, obviously. I mean, there's this, but there's also, like, I'm just not a good storyteller. I need to learn how to do that better. Because I enjoy the fidelity of things. I don't like losing details, and I think being a good storyteller sacrifices a lot of details that I would miss too much. I'm more of a documentarian than a storyteller, which is weird to say. Never said that before. I never thought that before. I guess, like, the whole storytelling thing in film is, like, you cut out, like, the whole idea of cutting out ideas of the original writer. It's just that doesn't sit well with me, and I guess that's why. I never really just knew that, never really understood that, because I enjoy the fidelity of, like, the first thought, you know, because once you start editing a script, that first thought is gone. You could like, say the first draft, and, like, people who are big fans of the movie will see it, and I guess that's cool. And I guess the people who seek it out, who really want to see it, will get it, and that's okay in the grand scheme of things. I don't know why I'm freaking out about it. Whatever, film isn't that bad. But I guess the thing that didn't sit well with me when I first heard about, you know, editing is that fidelity is lost for the sake of streamlinedness. And I guess for me, fidelity is more important. Originality. I don't know why. Maybe, I'm gonna check the time real quick. Oh, God. Well. Well, I was talking for so long. I'm just gonna finish the story, I guess, and then, but I like talking. There's stuff to say. I don't know. The thing about podcasts is that, well, the one thing is that they're long. Like, you can have many podcasts and go back to thoughts. But then the high thoughts you have won't be recorded. But it doesn't matter. I don't know. A bunch of thoughts in my head right now. I'm trying to look on the bright side, but also the truer side. And that is the battle of the brain, isn't it? The right and the left brain. Jesus Christ. I mean, Theo Von, like, he kind of has this style. It's free form. He goes on kind of tangents, but he's more in control of it. He was probably like this to start off with, and then he refined himself, because he does stop himself, okay, when he knows he's on a tangent, which I guess is something I can learn from him. But I really enjoy it because he is super smart, and there's a lot I get from him, and he has a big following. I don't know how he got it, because he's a comedian. I guess people, I don't know. I didn't really hear about his podcast through his comedy. I heard it through Joe Rogan. I don't know. I think, yeah, Theo Von's size community too would be great. I think I already said that. But the thing about podcasts is like they have to be a certain length. And it's kind of annoying. Especially like the Joe Rogan things where people have really interesting conversations. But then you have recurring guests. But the thing is, like, I don't like things being lost. I'm like the guy from Hello Internet, CGP Grey. He likes preservation over, I don't know, whatever he said. He likes digital copies of things, of documents and stuff, and he would hate to see things lost from history. I think I had that sort of same reaction. I feel kind of bad that I lost track of time because my mom was kind of freaking out because I said I was going to be home at 11:30. Jesus Christ. At the end of the episode, should I give like an update of my life? I don't know. Because also, like, another reason, not tonight, I didn't think this, but like in general, another reason to podcast is like you document your life. So I guess that's another tag I could do, or a segment of the show, or whatever I do, however I decide to format this. Probably segments is best. Although when you're high, there's no such thing as that. Maybe there is. I don't know. I could probably figure something out. So okay, I'm gonna, in a succinct way, I'm gonna try to ask for help. Whoever's out there has experience of podcasting, or even not, just enjoys podcasts and knows what they like and knows how to articulate what they like, please tell me like what I can improve on, suggestions on how I should format this. If I should do like themed episodes, if I should do, or what kind of segments I should do in each episode. If it should just be free form like this, if it should be semi-segmented. Because I enjoy the Bill Burr style. I also enjoy the Weekly Planet style. I also enjoy the Joe Rogan style and the Theo Von style. And there are more podcasts I listen to, like Stuff You Should Know, but I haven't listened to them in a long time. But those are the four big ones I just listed. Are the big impact, had the biggest impacts on me, I think. There's probably other ones I'm forgetting. Oh God, Sleepy Cast. Oh God, Sleepy Cabin. Jesus Christ. That was an experience that made me really comfortable. And I don't have to talk about that. Someone can ask me later, and then I could talk about Sleepy Cabin. Yeah, help me format. Give me suggestions, or if you like this style, suggest that. Just say you like this. I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of people with their own subjective views, and I'll probably take whatever's most popular, whatever gets most upvotes, and whatever I like the most, some sort of melding between the two. Anyway, metaphysics, Jesus Christ, which leads to the story, and I need to finish the story to say the metaphysical thing. Jesus, alright. Metaphysics, and then my life update, and then that's it. So, I wanted Eyes of the World. Jesus, this is like an hour-long story. I wanted Eyes of the World. There's a long cylinder of thoughts, or whatever. I don't know how it's gonna be visualized. Yeah, I forgot this time. I'm not doing anything intelligent in my head. I just forgot, which is okay. I really forgot. Oh my God, I can't. I went to retrieve the thought. I thought it was like in the back burner. It's not even on the stove. It is across state lines. That was a Theo Von type of joke. guess I have his type of style of humor. Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Where was I? I know where I am now. The thought's back on the stove. Someone found it. Fuck, did they? Is this the right kettle? Why am I more focused on the stove analogy than the actual story? Okay, so the experience was pretty intense, but I got through it. That's not even what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I had the edible, and I was feeling really, buzzy, and then Help on the Way came up, which I didn't want. I wanted Scarlet Fire, but it was something I needed, I guess, which is what I was trying to talk about with the Madison Square Garden. Also, Help on the Way, the second set opener. Both times they came at a time when I wanted something, but I got something I needed instead, and I liked what I got better than what I wanted. And that's such a satisfying feeling. And the first time that happened at Madison Square Garden, that changed my whole outlook on life. Like, that was a huge revelation. To not be so attached to the things you want. Not really. To enjoy the moments when you get what you need over what you want. To really be thankful for those, I guess. And to notice them more. Because they happen all the time. And they happen regularly. You always get both what you want and you need, to be honest. Like, you will get what you want in the end. But what you need will come also. When you don't expect it. Which is why I love that lyric. Once in a while you can get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. My throat's all dead because it's dry. Once in a while you can get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. Scarlet Begonias. It's a great lyric. They're chock full of those types of lyrics. But anyway, I wanted that and I got Help on the Way, which was, I was kind of disappointed the second time because I'm like, I already got this, Madison Square Garden, I don't need this again. But I felt like the second time disappointed. But as it went on, I got into it and I was thinking about how I feel music more, and like I can hear better, I guess. Whatever I guess when you're high, like, you experience things. There's another mechanic. When you're high, you experience things more intensely. Like fucking Eddie Bravo said. I didn't mean to say it disdainfully. Eddie Bravo. He said that on Theo Von's podcast. He said that weed makes blood rush to your head, and that makes you experience things more intensely, which is true. Emotions are more intense than me. So I thought that I could like I could hear the music better. I could feel it. I could actually hear it. That when I'm sober, I don't really hear the music. That when you're high, like, you actually like can hear it, which was true in that moment. It wasn't true tonight as much. But I was really high at City Field Night 2, which was intense. All right, all over the place. I am so sorry. Please just bear with me. Oh my god. Fuck. See, then I there's so many like loose ends that I don't even know what to pursue. I get stuck in this whatever, not a rut, maybe a rut. Because I want to do the story, but I don't even know where I left off. Because the tangent, I could start somewhere in the beginning of the tangent. I don't know where I want. I don't know. This is me thinking out loud. I'll shorten the story, I guess. Stick to the story. I was This is really bad. It's a really bad blank. Jesus. Help on the way. I could feel it, and it felt really, really good. And I know that I felt better listening to that than I would have Scarlet Fire. Because I remembered after I listened to Scarlet Fire from Colorado, one of the show closers, maybe the show closer, tour closer, like Oteil sings Fire, and like I'm not that big of a fan of Oteil singing it. Which the thing is, I am, like, objectively I am, but when the first 2 times I heard him sing was so different from Jerry Garcia's way of singing that I just had an instant dislike of it that I cannot shake. And it's so annoying because Oteil is very good on it. Like, it is great, honestly. And he has a very, very good, like, technical mastery of it. But my freaking initial emotions are all that get in the way. So I'm running low on time. Oh my god. The thing about Help on the Way was that, like, because I could feel it more, because I could hear more, like, it just got me in such a way that, like, it made me totally respect the song in a new light. Like, it is very, very, like, it already made a permanent, fantastic impact on me, Madison Square Garden Night 2, which I already said, made me, change my whole, what is it called? Atlas. No. It's the ship from WALL-E. Axiom. A bunch of axioms about, whatever I said. I don't want to get lost in this. But the song, when I hit Citi Field and I could hear it more, and it just, the whole experience, and just being way up in the bleachers and seeing the way that the stadium was laid out, like, the image is permanently in my head. I will never forget the way that stadium looked from that angle. I took a video of it a few times of the stadium from that angle, so you'll know what it looks like. Please, if I forget to post anything, just let me know and I'll post it up. Which leads me to the other thing. So I need to post the video / picture from that angle. Also, every song of that set list, I wrote what it did to me specifically. So, like, Franklin's Tower made me more appreciative of life, I think. Help on the Way made me something. And, like, I wrote a list of what every song did specifically to me, what breakthrough I had during every song. And I think I can go into detail about each one if I guess I will anyway, but I don't know what format to do it in, a blog post or what, a podcast episode. I'll probably do it during the podcast episode where I talk about Grateful Dead or just that show. I don't know, because I could talk so much about every topic. I don't know what the scale of it. Anyway, Help on the Way was, it's just, I can't overstate how good it was. And it's become, I don't want to say my favorite song, but, like, the one with the most, even at the time that I heard it, the most emotional impact on me. And it sound like, even now I listen to the way, like, Help on the Way, the way Dead and Company does it with their pedals, and the way that their tone sounds, it's so good. That just reverb and the way in the stadium, the way it echoed, it was incredible. The way it sounded. Oh my god. Please, listen to Help on the Way from, I don't know what the date was, Citi Field Night 2, 2018. Also Help on the Way from November 14th, 2017. Just the way they sound is so incredible. Listen to it high, even. It's really, really good. And what's cool is that your interpretation of it will be totally different from mine, or it'll be somewhat similar, and maybe I inspired some interpretation that you'll have, which is also cool. I love when that happens, but I have to stick to the story. Jesus Christ, time is not infinite. I want to talk about time, but I can't. Help on the Way happened. That was great. Then went to Franklin's Tower, which I was also disappointed by. I was like, oh, Help on the Way into Eyes, which did happen once. Help on the Way, Slipknot, Eyes, which was Eyes of the World, I mean. It was so cool. I heard it over FaceTime. I was FaceTiming Sarah, and it was incredible. Like, it was such a surprise. Which is the other thing. Like I said, like, Help on the Way was a surprise. Everything that night. Goddamn. Okay, I'm just gonna stop because the detail by detail explanation is gonna be too long. The set list was, if I can remember off the top of my head, Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's Tower, which was, oh god, okay, I have to talk about Franklin's Tower, and then Eyes. No. Saint Stephen. Then Saint Stephen. Right after Franklin's, which. Is that even right? Oh god, I don't remember what the order was. Anyway, they played Franklin's Tower into something, but they did play St. Stephen into the William Tell Bridge and the 11, which was like, I wish I could talk more about that. There's so much to talk about. That made me realize how grateful I was for like life. I mean, I already did with Eyes, which I need to explain. But it was so cool to witness that. To witness that moment in like history where the 11 hasn't been played in like 30, 40 years. No, probably closer to 40 something years, which is a big deal. Like when a song hasn't been played in that long, and to witness it when it was being whipped out after so long, that is so cool. Really cool. It must have been how it must have felt when they whipped out Karina for the first time, Dead and Company, which I heard Saratoga, which was phenomenal. I'm so happy. Which is another story in of itself, which I could do like a whole beautiful, like articulate way of like putting it together, because it was such a beautiful moment, but not right now. Also because I'm too sidetracked. So O'Teal, no. Saint Stephen the 11. All right. It also did Eyes, so I did get my Eyes, right? I don't know what the encore was. Ripple. I don't know. It was good from what I remember. No, it was US Blues. It was a good one, but it wasn't as memorable as the freaking intense experience I had with Eyes of the World and Franklin's. Franklin's Tower came on, and I was like, all right, whatever, it's Franklin's Tower. You know, I was also kind of disappointed when it started, because I wanted Eyes, but like I knew that I was less disappointed because Franklin's was like what it's supposed to be, helps with Franklin. So it's like you can't really get disappointed by that. So I went to Franklin's, and then just the way John Mayer's tone sounded, and also I was thinking a lot about how grateful I was to be there in that moment, to be witnessing that concert after, like, you know, the whole issue of not knowing whether I would attend at all. It was just so powerful, the feeling of gratitude, and I was like, oh, it's the Grateful Dead. That's what the name of the band means. They're great. It's like it'll teach gratitude, and I also thought, I don't know, the Dead was just like, because Jerry's dead and he's teaching me this through the grave. But I don't know. But that's kind of a stupid thing to say sober. But like in my head when I was high, I was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. So that whole breakthrough, which was a series of breakthroughs, mostly the grateful thing. I love the idea of being grateful for witnessing moments that like you wanted, witnessing moments that you didn't want but needed, witnessing moments that are surprises. Like there's so much to be grateful and thankful for. That was a great breakthrough. But that paired with the tone of John Mayer playing the chords to Franklin's Tower way up on the neck. I don't know which inversion it is. It's maybe 9th or 11th or 12th or something like that. I don't know which. I don't want to get bogged down with details. I know which ones they are. I could play them, but I can't articulate them. like the tone of that, it just made me cry, like weep. Did not expect to do that. Also, earlier that day, like I was just like, or that the day before, I was like, I wonder if I'll ever cry to music. I've never done that before. Well, I teared up to music before, but like rarely. Now I do it all the time. Not all, very often, and it's great. I feel music a lot more closely. Same with love too. Like after I found love last year, like I'm a lot more emotional than I ever was. Like I like unlocked my emotions, which was really cool. And another topic that'd be interesting to talk about, but have to save for later. So Eyes of the World happened after Franklin's, I'm pretty sure. But I wept during Franklin's because of how pretty John Mayer's thing sounded. His tone, so just beautiful. Like that high note, it just like it yanked the tears out of my eyes. Just the way it sounds. And then Eyes of the World came on at some point, right? And that too. The thing about Eyes of the World is that just the way the chord sounds. There's probably some scientists, like musical audio scientists, who would know why. But the chord E major 7 is so like bittersweet. It just makes you want to cry. It's like happy, but also not sad. It's mostly happy, but it's just a weird type of happy. It's like a crying happy. Like I guess happy crying. It's like it's not like happy crying isn't really bittersweet. It's like happy, but you're also just crying. So it's a weird emotion, right? I guess E major 7 and all the major 7s are like that emotion, happy crying. But it's just that plus the tone of Eyes of the World. It just, that tone got to me. Plus the fact that I was already feeling really grateful about my life and being there. I was super grateful to get the song. It was so satisfying to get the song that I wanted after so long. And then I wept even more than I did during Franklin's Tower, which I wept. I like when I say weep, I do not mean that lightly. I wept. Tears were streaming, like actually streaming down my face intensely, which does not happen often at all. I don't think it's ever happened. Maybe when I got broken up with, dumped. Such an ugly word. When I got dumped. But not even that. I wept more during Franklin's Tower and Eyes of the World than ever in my life, probably combined. But I don't know. It did feel like the frequency of tears coming out of my face was pretty darn high. I'll just say that. But I'll just say that. I said so much. And Eyes of the World, what I wrote down for that on my list was Eyes of the World made me realize that I am the eyes of the world, or something like that. And because the line in that is, the chorus is, wake up to find out that you are the eyes of the world. I never knew what it meant, but then like in that moment of being high and everything, and like super high actually, I was like, I realized, because I've been trying to, and the metaphysics part of this comes in here, I was trying to, for like a while, obviously like everyone is, trying to figure out like what the nature of like the divine is, like trying to figure out what God could be, what that is. And I've like, there's a little bit, I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's little segments of that I get every once in a while, like things that could be true or feel very true. Oh God, there's so much stuff at the Grateful Dead thing today that I thought, oh my God, there's so much I can say on metaphysics that I realized tonight. But it's not complete, which is cool. There's more to discover, and there's more to think about. But please, I'll just do this myself. I was going to say, please ask me about metaphysics in some capacity, because I want to talk about it. I could just do that on an episode. I don't know. I guess people can request episode themes, and I can just talk about a topic, which would be cool, because I would love to do that. But anyway, or like multiple segments of shows where it's like not Q&A, but like maybe just request episode, and then the episode's broken down into like, I don't know, 15 minutes where I have to answer a question or go at length about a topic, or however long it takes. I don't even want to limit myself by minutes. Anyway, metaphysics of so I got to Eyes of the World, weeping even harder because there was with all the gratitude, there was the added feeling of the satisfaction of having heard Eyes of the World, which, all right, the reason why it's so important to me, I think, is because I covered it, which I already said, but that was the thing that got me into music and covering music and what made me really fall in love with singing. Just the way everyone reacted to it, just like how it made everyone look super happy when they heard it, and just the satisfaction of having completed something pretty much exactly the way I wanted it to hear and wanted the final product to be. It just became through like a lot of hard work. It was so satisfying with the tangible product at the end. I know what it feels like now, and that was the first time I felt that. And Eyes of the World is really important to me because of that. But to hear that song, which meant so much to me, it's also a great song. I've heard it's important to me for a bunch of different ways that I don't even remember. Which one day I might hear the song and remember why. Which is, I talk about this too. This episode, hey. But Eyes of the World happened, and when I heard the lyric, you are the eyes of the world. Finally, the tangent is over. I'm so sorry. I felt like every part of my body, like the buzzing, the chi, whatever it was, like all came up together to form this one singular dot between my two eyes. Because I've heard people say like, oh, my third eye opened or whatever through an experience. But so like obviously this was probably informed by that. Probably would not have happened on my own if I never heard someone say third eye. But I can't really test that. I can. But like unethically, I raised someone to the point of like maturity and then have them, I don't know, it'd be a weird test. But I feel like I opened my third eye. Like it felt, it's weird to say. It was weird to think at the time. Like I feel stupid like to say I opened my third eye, but it did. It felt like something opened, like a third eye opened, and I felt like I was whatever divine being, like God, for the sake of whatever the podcast, God. I felt like the God looking through that third eye, kind of like Neo waking up in the Matrix or something. Like imagine he like his one eye opened like in the middle of his two eyes, just like, or I don't know. Say you're in the Matrix and you just wake up for a second and you see everything around you, right? It felt like that. Like I was totally a passenger, totally just not. Or you go into a movie or something and you look through the eyes of the main character and everything's paused or something like that. Or not even, you're just looking through his eyes, and it felt like God was, or some. It feels weird to say. It felt like some other thing that was like the real me was looking through the eyes of the Matrix me, something like that, and the simulation me, and it was really intense. Like I stopped and like I didn't move. It was like kind of like looking around. It wasn't scary or anything. It was just like I don't know. Like it was a baby. I don't know, not a baby opening its eyes for the first time. I don't know how to describe it. I guess I can probably, but it's not worth. You probably get the idea. Maybe you don't. I don't know. So that lyric, like everything lined up perfectly. Everything synced up. All the satisfaction of hearing the song, the gratitude, the lyric being sung at the same time that that I was thinking all this about gratitude. It just all lined up into a single point in my bridge of my nose into my eye. All that feeling was centralized there. And then like I had this like voice, not a voice. Yeah, I had this thought like I'm ready or whatever, like to open my third eye, and it did feel like I opened my third eye. For several weeks after, I felt like I was reborn, which is weird. Like I felt like a new person after that experience, after that third eye opened or whatever. I'll just call it that, third eye opening. Even though I have reservations about that just because the way society makes it sound, but it is weird to say. Just for me. Maybe it shouldn't be weird. Maybe I should like be more open to it. I don't know. Yeah, I felt like a different person after that. Like I awoke in this body, having gotten all the memories in it, and I'm experiencing my life for the first time, or experiencing it as if it was for the first time, I guess. as if I finally got the controls to it. And like I parsed through all my past conflicts in my head as if I was looking at them with fresh eyes afterwards, after the show, which was really interesting. I know I'm on a tangent right now, but like I thought about all my past relationship, thinking about all that as if I was a new person looking at the problem, and I had like some new insight, but it also felt like kind of not distant, but it felt like someone else's problem that I was just looking at. It didn't feel like as emotionally draining because it didn't feel very attached to me. It felt like I was looking at it objectively, which was good. I guess there's a lot to learn from that. Looking at problems objectively, try to remove yourself from them. I don't know. So then all the thoughts I had felt new and fresh, which was good. Which I guess the metaphysics of that I was trying to say was that it's cool that, my idea of a god. I mean, I think I tried to start on this, but I did not finish. My idea of a god is like I've been trying to work out is that I think from that from that night on I started to get like a picture of what I think God is. I figured that God is like an immortal being, either or a very, very powerful being, or someone like us with access to technology of their caliber. Obviously wouldn't be maybe it's a computer of sorts, right? Something like that. Like a simulation could be it just for the sake of just simplicity, an immortal being, right? Because to like a computer program, we might seem like immortal beings to them, like a video game NPC, So for our sake, an immortal being with like that's all powerful, basically can create anything, right? And it became so bored with immortality, or it did everything that it possibly could, because it's immortal and all powerful, all knowing, I guess. That the only thing that it didn't know was mortality, and the only way to actually experience mortality was to be mortal. Is what I think, and I think that we are all like the Andy Weir's The Egg. Andy Weir, not the Andy Weir. That was a weird way of saying his name. Andy Weir's The Egg, where he says that we're all the same person reincarnated. I think that we're all. The Egg is really good. I recommend you read it because that's been a major, breakthrough for me too. Reading that. Andy Weir's The Egg is kind of like. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I feel like we're all sort of not reincarnated, but I guess like a god, an immortal being experiencing mortality. And I guess maybe a hypothesis is that it experiences mortality through every living person. Like it lives the conscious life of every person. So like you, I guess, like in a way, live every person in your life's life, and every person in the world who has ever lived is like the same consciousness, I guess. But like when you die, your brain goes to, or your consciousness just all your knowledge that you've gained is just the knowledge of this being. So like when you play a video game, like you're in this zone, right? Everything around your life just goes away. You don't really think about anything but the game. Or you're playing, I won't do too many analogies. You're playing a game and then you're in that zone. Or you're playing a song and you're only in that song, right? For the time being. Your whole life just melts away and you're just in that moment, focusing. I guess it's kind of like that, where when you're living a mortal life, you're just focused on that. You cannot access what's outside of your mortal ability. Like you can only learn through experience. You can't, and I guess research. But research is experiencing reading, I guess. So you can only learn through experience, not through the experience of others, and not through anything else. experience is all we have. So everyone, when you die, I guess you come out of that zone, and all of your knowledge just it's as if you were the immortal being playing a game. Like your life is the game, and when you die, it's like the being is stepping back from the game back into its real life, where it has a lot more going on than just the game, your life, where it has like every single person's memories and experiences at their fingertips, documented because it's all knowing. And I guess like the immortal being would like want, or say it's just you in a room with like a room full of books. All the books are like the entire lives of people. You could read the books, right? You can go back to the books. Like you could, I feel like you could live life multiple times. That's probably why, that might be a reason why people feel like other people are familiar to them without ever having met them. Maybe. There's also other reasons, like reincarnation in a different way. I don't know. There's a bunch of different theories on this, but you could reread a book, maybe, but like there's only so much you can get out of the book. So you start a new one, or you write a new one, right? And I feel like you as the immortal being thinks that through all of the things it's ever done, right? Everything that's ever toyed around with, every creation it's ever made, because it has infinite possibility, is not as good as living a mortal life on Earth. Living your life that you have right now, living on this planet. So it chooses to do that instead of whatever it does. And it's free time, I guess. So mortality is like the pinnacle of being, the most ultimate mode of being. Not most ultimate, just the best mode of being. The best thing to be, a human. As far as we know, like there could be other types of human, like other types of being. Like they probably, I don't know if God like becomes animals and just to see what they're like, just see how they live. That might be another thing we do. We might live as plants. That might be the way reincarnation works. Or just God being bored and wanting to just live, and maybe all life is God in that way, and that everything is potential experience, and that your life is just I don't know. But yeah, that's basically my idea of it. I was singing that during the concert. I forgot what song. This concert here, the 7/7/89. So yeah, that's my idea of a deity, metaphysics. And it's cool. Like I had a few breakthroughs today. I don't know which specifically they were, but that formed my idea of it. I think there's a lot more to be thought about, and a lot more conversations to be had with people who could inform that and help with that, get to the truth of it. But every once in a while, I feel like when I'm high having breakthroughs, it feels like the being or whatever is just like nodding its head or whatever, just like, all right, I'll give you this one. I'll show you the light a little bit. Because then I think too much won't fry our brain, but won't be like fun anymore. Because mortality, the cool thing about mortality that an immortal being can't have is that you have a limit to your knowledge, which is probably what it loves, is like probably a drug for it, just to be able to be wounded, to lose, things that an immortal, all-powerful thing can't do, can't feel, to lose, and the only way for an all-knowing being to know what it's like to be mortal is to be mortal, I guess. The only way for an all-powerful being to know what it's like to feel loss as a human is to do that. So that's probably what we're doing right now. That's the best I can think of in terms of theory, metaphysical theory. Is that it? It's probably something else. Yeah, if I forget something and it's an interesting tangent, ask me about it and I'll go on about it. Maybe I'll have a segment about reading emails if there's not enough requests. I don't know how I'm going to format this. I think at the beginning there's gonna be very few recommendations slash requests slash whatever I get, which will be cool because I can just talk for however long. Don't worry about cutting people off. But anyway, I think that's all there is to say right now about metaphysics. Time is what time is it? Oh my god. So right now in my life, just came back from vacation in Sarasota, which is cool. A lot of cool stories were there. Like I met the grandson of the bassist of the Allman Brothers, which was really cool. Sean Oakley, Barry Oakley's. He said son. I think his dad's name is Barry Oakley, but he might be a junior. I'm not sure how that all worked, or maybe I don't know. But that was cool. That was a whole story unto itself, but not. I mean, it was interesting. I don't know. It was a cool vacation. I just got back from a pulmonologist, pulmonary, whatever. Because I don't know, it's not really interesting. Because I've been having like the chi or whatever I can control, the buzzing. It's like it's only. Maybe I should elaborate more on this, but not right now. The chi itself. I should probably elaborate on that, which I will eventually. Anyway, like it feels like there's a tightness, like there's a part of my chi I can't control or whatever. When I get anxious, sometimes I have a moment of lucidity, where I'm able to, like, expel whatever tightness and anxiety is happening in my, chest. And it does work. I can move around when I have that moment of lucidity, but it might be placebo, whatever. But I was kind of worried about that. I didn't know if it was like an actual medical thing, so I went to the doctor to see what it was. I didn't know if it was just anxiety and like spiritual whatever, in just my own body, or if it was like an actual lung problem. So that's why I went to check out. But right now everything's normal, so it looks like it's just in my head probably, which is cool, which is good. So I went to that, and I'm going to see a psychic on the 7th. It is currently the 1st. I'm going on the 7th with Sarah. She's going to take notes for me, which should be interesting. I'm really glad that, I hope there's nothing that interferes with that, because that sucked, because I really want her to be there. I think that we're due for that. We've talked about it before, seeing a psychic together. I think that'd be really beneficial. So I'm going to do that, and that's the thing that's exciting me the most. It might be really underwhelming, and I might not really get much out of it, but that's the thing that's, I just need to get over that hump, and then I'm pretty much scot-free for, like, life. Not life, but, like, to move on with things, I guess. Because I've been resting a lot of my, I don't know. I don't want this to be like therapy. Because I don't know if it's interesting or what. I don't know. Because there's a point between honesty and just blabbing. I don't know. It would bring a lot of closure to things. To see a psychic. To get a new perspective, like a psychic perspective on my problems. And I think that if that doesn't help, I might go to psychedelics to see what they have to say. They have to offer me. I have no, like, big urge to take psychedelics. I've researched them a lot recently, just to see what they're all about, what they do, and just learn about them, because I love learning about things, and they're really interesting. But they haven't increased my they've increased my urge to do them a little bit, but not like in a desperate way. Like weed is very, very adequate. It's great for me for what it is. So cause of the psychic, like, is good enough, I can tolerate the psychedelics. I don't really mind. Like, I don't have a strong urge to do them. There have been times, like the beginning of the summer, where I felt like I really needed to, but I feel like that would have been good. That would not have been good. My set wouldn't have been good. Mindset, like the what's his name? Oh my God, Terrence McKenna. His idea of set and setting. I wouldn't have been in the right mindset. I would have been in a lot of tumult, a lot of turmoil mentally, and that would have not been good for a psychedelic trip, probably, or it might have been beneficial in like a negative to positive way. I don't know, but as of right now, I don't really have an urge. Is there anything else interesting? Yeah, hopefully I don't die on the way back. Hopefully this episode doesn't get lost. Hopefully you all have a great day. Whenever you listen to this, wherever you listen to this. Yeah, comment in wherever I post this, where you're from too. That'd be cool. I like to know because I had a blog once with my best friend, where we just it was kind of like this, not really like this at all. The complete opposite of what I just said. It was like kind of free form. The way I did it was kind of free form, but only in a topic, which I guess is every blog post. Like, you go on about swear words was one I did, which I published in my school newspaper and no one really cared about. But like why swear words are bad, which I thought was an interesting thing to think about, which Vsauce did a video on, which I still haven't seen. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh yeah, hopefully you all have a good day. Hopefully this makes it to the world. And final thoughts. The concert was really good that I just saw. 7/7/89. I would pay $60 to have this permanently, to have a copy of this. Like, anything cheaper than that is a steal in my opinion, which it probably is. I want to be able to see this concert many times because there's so much to be analyzed about this. Like, you could do a full semester's worth of a college class on this one show. There's a lot to analyze there, which is a reason why I want to do like a green tea episode with friends or just by myself where I'm analyzing something, or I'm playing a show in the background or something like that. Like a movie review, but like high. So yeah. That's Green Tea episode 3. Hopefully this goes somewhere. Bye.
Hello, thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find me at Patrick's Green Tea on Patreon, Reddit, Discord, Spotify, Twitch, and Bandcamp. Patrick's Green Tea podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Instagram. And at Patrick Green Tea without an S on Twitter. And you can contact me at patricksgreentea@gmail.com. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.